Hello, my name is Ewing King, and this is probably the first time you heard my voice if you ever been to my channel. Uh, Formers, I'm posting this because you people tend to not read, so maybe you'll watch. And real life friends, maybe you'll learn how to use these kits in my housing better. Yeah, so we're gonna start off with the basic archer kits, starting with Ranger. Ranger. Best way to explain it is that you constantly take tick damage from the liver. You can shoot infinite arrows, which is its perk, basically. Its double jump doesn't go as far due to the liver, slowing you down, so its mobility is not the best. It does have a knockback 2 axe, which you can use to get people away from you if they get way too close. As you can see, my health is decreasing. So what you need to do is right click this soup here and you heal 1 heart per right click. Now of course you gotta spam it, and this is also to prevent Ranger from just spamming arrows all the time so you can get close to them. Do keep in mind it takes about 7 seconds for a Ranger to fully heal themselves up, so you do have to kill them within that time frame. So that is Ranger. Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter is a very glass cannon type of class, but it has a lot of damage, power 3. It can typically 3 to 5 shot anything, technically even a 1 shot if the opponent doesn't have their abilities up at the right time. Its double jump in base form is just a normal double jump. If you right click Hunter's Leap, it allows you to go way farther, and you also jump way higher. This can help you get on trees to shoot at people, or you can just like run away from people faster. To use Sharpshooter, you only get 3 arrows, as you can see. It's meant to be more of an actual target aiming class, so you have to actually hit your target when you need to. And this emergency shield gives you about 6 more hearts, and it only lasts for 13 seconds. So if you get hit within those 13 seconds, you can't use it for another remaining how much time that absorption is up. So there's only a set amount of damage you can take per 13 seconds before you are dead. The knockback is way less on the pickaxe, but that's because like you have way more damage and way less health. So like it takes more skill to use this class. To get more arrows, you have to shift and then right click this bucket, and you'll slowly get more arrows over time. You do get a max limit of 20 arrows, which we will be able to see in a second. And you cannot go above 20 arrows. So in a pre-fight, you would make sure to get 20 arrows. I'm not going to explain what green is. Green is funny. You should definitely right-click it when you have the chance. Yeah. Next up is Chicken. Chicken is the ultimate rusher class. If you don't finish a fight quickly, you can either choose to annoy the hell out of your opponent, like having a 40-minute fight, or try to finish things quickly. Its sole advantages are speed, and it gets eggs upon right-clicking the feather. You also get jump boost and speed when right-clicking the feather. When you're below actually 4 hearts, you gain resistance and speed 8 for 4 seconds. So that's for helping you quickly get away from fights, but to get the speed 8 effect, you have to not have speed when you're fighting. So it's kind of a risk. When you're damaged, you can right-click your Cooked Child for half a health for each heal. It takes about 13 seconds to fully heal up. Yeah, so that's basically Chicken. You basically play it like a Skywars kit if you want. Or you can play it as a annoying speedster type, or just a hit and run. Snowman. Snowman is basically what a Skywars player would use in this housing. You have your damage weapon, you have gapples, and then you have your fishing rod that has knockback, and then a snowball that gives you more snowballs. It's a pretty basic kit. It has like fairly the same amount of damage as Assassin, but for reasons it is weaker than Assassin due to it not having strength. And it's a fairly easy kit to use if you know how to snowball and rod, which I don't, hence I do not use this kit often. But next up is Blood. Should probably show off Blood in its full state. So Blood has a weapon called the Rusted Spear Shield. Stained Spear, actually. It has knockback 2 to prevent you from comboing. You have a Damp Cloth that heals half a health per right click. And your Rusted Stained Spear takes half of your health each time and gives you Absorption 2 and Regeneration. This also gives you Strength. So right before a fight, you want to right click and then start hitting them. Like, you don't have to do it as often as I do. I just like to do it often for some reason. And here's like me right clicking to show that it heals quicker. The pots, you get 3 of them initially. They heal about 4 hearts each. So it's not enough to like cover the full thing, but they also do give strength. So it gives you time to like regen and stuff if you need to do so. When you run out of pots, you can right click your shovel again to get 1 pot. You only get 1 pot, and it's never quite enough to fully heal you up. It is if you use the Damp Cloth, but you're most likely going to be in the middle of a fight and therefore not being able to heal yourself like that. So if you're using Blood properly, you should always be around, like, I want to say about like 8/10 of your first health bar. Assassin is kind of, it looks easy to use, but it really isn't. You need to master W tapping and block hitting to a certain extent. When you block hit, you get strength and resist 3 for 1 second each. So it prevents you from like just instantly one-tapping people, but because like to get the resistance buff, you do have to right click at the precise time that they're hitting you so you don't get instantly one-shot. But at the same time, you're not doing damage during that time, and your strength effect only lasts for so long, and if they hit you at the wrong moment, you're pretty much screwed. You do also kill people pretty fast, so that's a perk. If you're just doing like for fun kills, fighting, Assassin is very useful for just rushing in, dying, and then rushing in again. Like, your opponent doesn't have enough time to heal up if you just do that, but it's a very scummy thing to do. Would not recommend. We're going to skip over the power classes and move to the defensive classes first because defensive is easier to learn. So Bushwoman is pretty simple to learn. It has Prot and Thorns. Thorns hit sometimes, and it does actually help a lot in a fight where you do take a lot of hits. I say on average it does an additional 4 hearts to the opponent, so it's like very useful for fighting low health opponents, we should say. It doesn't work to archers unless they're very close range. I would say that Bushwoman is a bit of a, it's one of the stronger defensives if you use it right. Right-clicking the Petals of Sorrow give you resistance for 3 seconds. Right-clicking the Petals of Solace gives you a heart to heal every time you right-click it, and then this is your damage weapon. I will say that it is kind of harder to use mid-fight. You want to try to do a resistance cycle, which means you resistance, click, click, click. When you hit 1 second, you right-click 3 times, and then right-click resistance again, and then you fight again. In more extreme cases where you're taking a lot of damage, you want to right-click, click, 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 click it, and start like double jumping away before coming back into the fight with resistance and the sharp. But it's a little bit, it's a lot of actions for it to be good, hence the medium difficulty. Now Monk is personally my, ignore these stats, they're kind of dumb. Monk is kind of my favorite class. It basically has no damage, but it has like a lot of knockback, so you can knock back people from very far away. Its one thing is it has a lot of thorns, so the damage you do is compared to the opponent's damage. So in certain cases, like the opponent accidentally clicks you too many times before you're low enough to actually die, and then you can rush them and kill them. To use Monk, you want to shift, right click, and you gain weakness like 5 or something, which means you basically do no damage. Regeneration 1 for a couple seconds, which is only enough to heal like a heart and a half. And resistance, I believe 4, yeah. So you basically take almost no damage during this time. You do still take some damage, but not enough to the point where you will instantly die. Favorite Monk tactic is to sit here and just hit people who are trying to hit you, or jump in the pit itself. Because of your shifting, you A, don't take as much knockback, and B, it's highly unlikely that they will hit you before they get thrown in the pit and into the void. And if you fall into the void in this housing, it is considered a loss. Let me slash stuck here. Tank is probably one of the easiest classes to use. I'm probably nerfing it in the future. But when you right click, you gain a couple hearts and regen 3. The health boost only lasts so long, so it's kind of like a temporary shield. You do get 4 gapples. They're only really useful for the absorption hearts, not really much else. And you basically play this as your standard PvP kit besides the occasional right click. It's pretty easy to use, self-explanatory. Elemental is pretty mid. Like, if you enjoy not having too much damage, not having too much health, but just the right amount, having the right amount of utility, then this is the class for you. Enhancement Aura has knockback on it, and when you right click, you gain speed for a couple seconds. When you right click Regenerative Aura, you gain regen 2 for 10 seconds and resistance for 4 seconds. When you hit someone with Fiery Aura, you get them on fire, obviously. It's very useful for stopping speedsters from just rushing you, because the fire does hurt them a lot more than you think in this housing, actually, even with all the water. And this is your main damaging weapon. You do have weakness, so think of this as like sharp 3.5 or something. So it's not necessarily like very strong. It does have a decent amount of health, and I personally think it's okay, but it's not the best. Now, if you've been to this housing before, you probably know the power-up class is probably what you're here for, honestly. So these are at the end because they're kind of harder to use. So Sword Saint has 2 basic rotation abilities. They have their sword rotation and the spirit rotation. In its base form, it's pretty weak. It's a wooden sword. Like, you're not dealing much damage, honestly. But this is where it gets interesting. We have something called the sword cycle. So when you right click your wooden sword, you get stone sword. The stone sword gives you speed 2 and absorption 3. Now the absorption 3, they're just gone after you lose all of them. And the speed 2 lasts forever in this state. Unfortunately, you still also don't do very much damage. And you do lose quite a bit of health. So if you pop at a bad time, you're probably going to get killed. Now, if you pop your stone sword, you get the gold sword. You get resistance and nausea, but it also gives you fire aspect and has the highest damage, even more than assassin. The nausea does make you a little bit misjudgment in your distance, so you might sometimes swing and not realize you're too far away, or you might not realize that you're way too close to an opponent and they can just one-shot you, or not one-shot you, like deal a lot of damage to you. When you take a lot of damage as Sword Saint, let me just speed through this. You can right-click the gold sword to get all your health back, basically, if you haven't taken any damage. And you gain health boost 2 and regeneration, and it just cycles through again, this shebang. Now, spirits, they're a little bit more interesting. Spirits remove your sword buffs in exchange for stronger temporary buffs. So sword buffs are like basic permanent buffs that are easier to use with spirits. Spirits are where Sword Saint strengths truly lie. So first we have Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit, when you right click it, takes a heart for you. You gain slowness 10, so you basically can't move, and nausea. But you gain a lot of strength, so if we cycle through that again, you can see I get like strength, I think it's like 2. So in this state, you want to have like the gold sword and like hit them, and they'll basically be 2-shot. Do keep in mind that since you can't move, you basically have to be within 1 block of them and do it within a second. Otherwise, they can just counter combo you, or you're just gonna die. Because often when you use that combo, you're not gonna be in the highest terms of health. Supportive, you gain weakness, so you basically do no damage during this state, but you do heal pretty quickly. And Roaring Spirit, it gives you a row of temporary hearts and liver, and also resistance for some amount of time, but also weakness. This is basically a counter to assassins. You wanna keep this state if you feel like you're not gonna be able to survive a hit or 2. Now we're gonna teach you something about the Sword Saint. We call it the Sword Saint combo, or the Sword Saint cycle. The Sword Saint cycle is basically meant to maximize your damage output. So first you right click the wood sword, then the stone sword, then a red spirit, green spirit, wait for the green spirit to regen, and you're basically in the sword cycle now. Now what the sword cycle does is it basically ensures you that you won't die as easily. So first what you can do is right click the Roaring Spirit. You start this off in a fight, and once you hit your first row of hearts, which I can't do because there's no one online that I know that will help me with this. Once you hit your first row of hearts, what you want to do is right click your Fighting Spirit, and then hopefully you pop it right when the opponent is running into you, and you can just 1 or 2 tap them. If that fails, you want to pop your green immediately and start running away, and pop your blue. Now let's say there's an extreme case, and let me simulate being low for a second. Yeah, so let's say you're that low. In extreme cases like that, and you don't have your green spirit out, you can right click your gold sword, and the wooden sword will eventually heal you up enough that you can start using spirits again. But during this state, you basically have to run away, otherwise you're gonna lose. So Sword Saint is kind of situational. I have a rule that I like to call don't go below 5. If you go below 5 hearts, you're basically done for, unless you can run away for enough time to heal yourself. Now Alchemist is probably the most complicated class. You have a potion pouch, Fumes of Buffs, Fire Spell, and an Alchemist Wand. When you use the Alchemist Wand, you can heal yourself for half a heart each, I believe, or a heart? Was that? Yeah, it's a heart. The thing is, you don't do very much damage, and you don't have armor. Now you notice I right click something called the Potion of Perms there. When you do that and you right click your Fume of Buffs, you gain a couple extra hearts, and then you can right click your healing potion to heal yourself to full. Now you want to do this to get the maximum of 2 rows of hearts, and that's helpful because at 2 rows of hearts you get something special. You also get something called Potion of Armor, which unlocks you armor pieces. Let's see if we get lucky enough. We got pretty lucky there. So I got 3/4 of the armor piece. When you get all 4 armor pieces, you get a better weapon, but you do lose the healing ability. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Let's see if we can quickly get this thing going. Yeah, so there's a speed pot for running faster temporarily. You can kind of pop that mid-fight if you have the inventory space for it. You have the Potion of Intox, which I can really only show you after using a Potion of Perms. So let's say you use 2 Potion of Perms and you don't have any health potions, you can pop the Potion of Intox to have some regeneration. It's pretty useful in a pinch, but I wouldn't recommend it. Potion of Harming, if you get enough of them, you can kind of just one cycle a assassin, like splash them all at once. They do a decent amount depending on how much armor they have. So against a tank, it's not very much. like maybe a heart or so, but that stacks up over time if you do enough damage. You can splash Potion of Slowness on people, and there's a Potion of Weakness as well, but I don't know if I can find it fast enough. Yeah, so we need to hit 2 rows of heart to get resistance, and let's see if we can, nope. Sorry, I'm getting kind of unlucky here. You do get 1 strength pot, but it only lasts 3 seconds. And so you kind of want to be wise about that. And it's kind of RNG. Like, I got lucky enough to get it again, but it's like a 1 in like 10 chance, I believe. No, 1 in 12, 1 in 12. So it's not as common as you think. So let's see, yeah, here's the Potion of Weakness. So you can splash that on people to make them slightly weaker. And it makes fights slightly easier for you. And if you notice about a thing about Alchemist is that it takes a very long time to actually get fully buffed up. A fully buffed up Alchemist is basically invincible. Unless you kill them early on. So if you're doing a 1v1 with Alchemist, it is highly recommended you kill them as soon as possible. Or hope that they run out of healing pots mid-fight, because they do run out of inventory space and they do have to clear it out. And they do have to rush for a healing pot. Sometimes they don't get it, so it's kind of sad. But, you know, like you see my healing pot health, like my healing pot luck here is kind of bad. I only have 4. And I don't want to use Potion of Intox because that removes my resistance. Let's see, armor. I want to show what a fully buffed one looks like, but I'm not getting lucky here. Sorry if I'm extending the video here for a bit. You know, it's fine. I think you get the picture. So we do also have something called difficulty ratings. Here are the difficulty ratings if you haven't seen them before. And there's something called class counters, which means that certain classes counter each other. But I think I will leave that for another time. Thank you for watching. And hopefully next time I host a tourney, people will actually watch and learn how to use the classes. Yeah. So, yeah. And don't ever abuse the kits in this housing. Otherwise, I will pull out certain kits that will make your life miserable. So just don't. Don't ever try to exploit or anything like that. Because, yeah, I could use one of these. And you're not killing these, I'm just saying. E.